So, game number 2 here of this best of 3, and it promises to be a heck of a lot of fun. It's going to be very, very exciting, and game 1, if it was anything to go by, it's going to be intense and a bit of a long one. And to think that it all started with a proxy gateway. Wow. And it ended at like 37 minutes, so that's pretty insane. Anyway, spawning up to the top right-hand position, we have the blue Protoss player. He represents alien invasion, none other than Patience. And his opponent, spawning down in the lower left, the red Protoss player. Representing Team PK, it is GunGFuBanDa. I am very, 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 very excited to see what happens here, because game 1, like, I know I've said about it, but I'm still thinking about it. It was kind of the perfect PvP, early action, into epic late game death balls. That sounds a bit weird. Death balls. That sounds like something you might get in like some weird horror film. Did anyone ever watch that film? I believe it was called Teeth. It had Megan Fox in it, and basically the premise of it was her vagina had teeth in it. I know it's quite a incredible film. I'm guessing death balls would be like the male equivalent of it in some alternate reality. Who knows? It probably exists. This is the internet we're talking about. I imagine someone did make some freaky, very, very scary role reversal of that film. I don't even want to know. If you know about that, do not tell me. I just know. Anyway, enough about those weird stuff and more about this weird game that is PvP. We have up double gases on both sides, but a difference in the number of workers. GunGfu, he's putting a pylon down in a bit of a weird place. Probably going to be going for a proxy Stargate slash... actually, no, it shouldn't be Stargate. This should be a Twilight Council into DTs, most likely. If it's going to be a proxy Stargate, he would have put it across the map further. But this is a great place to hide Dark Templar. Is that what he's going to be doing? It could be Blink as well, hidden. Could be a Stargate. Waiting for the minerals. Come on, show me! I need to know! I need to know. My money's on a Twilight Council. Why is it still waiting? There's enough money to... Okay, Twilight Council. Yes, I was right. Awesome. So, Twilight Council could lead into either a Blink play or it could lead into a Dark Templar play. But it's going to be up against a proxy Stargate. This game will not last as long as the last one, I suspect. And I imagine what it will come down to is whether we get an Oracle out from this. And we probably will, because it is proxied. If the Stargate was made in base, then there's always the option that it can be Phoenix, which are absolutely brilliant in pretty much every situation. I am a big fan of Phoenix. Let me just chuck that out there. But in terms of the Oracle, if it's too far away, and this is going to be DTs, which it appears that it will, then it means that obviously GunGfu can sneak on in there and there won't be any detection, especially if a robotics facility isn't made. Patience moves up with that Zealot, sees the mothership core, but not much else, so he should be suspecting something's up. No natural. That means that, well, we'll keep a good eye on everything. Meanwhile, Oracle is coming through, so that's to be expected. But, oh no, this could be huge. Never mind, Patience not going to go down there to check, so won't see it. Unfortunately for GunGfu, he's only got one Stalker up against a Zealot and a Stalker. That leads him some problems. Probe's getting pulled to try and help deal with this. The mothership core poking and prodding away. Proxy pilot up now for GunGfu. His DTs need to do a lot. There is no detection at the moment. And, well, more damage coming through. A couple of nice shots off. And nice, GunGfu using that Proton overcharge will buy himself some time. A second Oracle coming through. That first one only got one kill. Has it realized what's up? It hasn't been seen, but it's coming back home anyway. It knows. It can sense the threat of the Dark Templar. Gonna be sneaking on by. This Oracle has one job, and that is to use Envision. Grant that detection for 60 seconds. With it, Patience is gonna get himself an amazing, amazing position. Up come the DTs. Sneaky, sneaky DTs. Sneaky, sneaky. They see the Oracle swipe. There we go. Revelation. Sees the second one. That's actually really important because GunGfu was trying to hide it as best he could. Doesn't get away with it. A couple of probes already killed though. 5 workers down and the second DT does get away. Vanishing into the abyss that is the center of overgrowth. The first Dark Templar did some really, really good damage there, though, so not probably as much as GunGfu would have wanted, but still it did some. The second Oracle coming in now for Patience ends up throwing down a Revelation to grant Vision because it couldn't get any damage down. Zealots have been able to discover where the proxy came down, where the hidden Dark Shrine and Twilight Council were, and take out the pylon. Unfortunately for GunGfu, that means Blink isn't going to be a thing for him. But he is adding in the robotics facility. Patience already has one. He's produced an observer out there, just a bit more of a long-term solution to these Dark Templar. But the Dark Templar still getting a right nuisance through. Forces another Envision from one of the Oracles. And that wastes all their energy, reducing their harassment potential basically to 0. And I say basically 0, actually to 0 for the moment. They can't do anything if they don't have energy. So this is pretty cool. Patience, though, he's still in a good spot, and that's because of the Stalker count, 6 to 3. It doesn't take a maths genius to realize that's obviously going to be very, very good. Still, though, in we go. Nice little poke and prod around. That Nexus gets taken down, or forced to cancel at the very least, and that's a little bit annoying. A lot of money was tied up in that for quite a while. The Dark Shrine now dead as well, or about to be. That means no more Dark Templar coming out for GunGfu. And Patience looking pretty good as it stands. The Oracle's looking to get a bit more damage down, but with a good defensive position, that's not going to be achieved. What's really important to note is GunGfu does have over 100 energy on that Mothership core. That means he's got the option to Photon Overcharge if required, and with that Photon Overcharge, he can fend off this push for a bit longer. What's actually quite important as well for GunGfu is the Patience isn't attempting to take his own natural base. He's staying on one base, which means their economies are still level. GunGfu really wants this natural base though. Really, really wants it. Isn't going to cancel it yet. Force field comes down. 2 force fields. This actually traps a couple of Stalkers. Patience overstayed his welcome. Got a little bit too greedy there. Forcing to engage through. The Oracle's coming in from behind. Pick off some sentries. That is a very, very beautiful pick off. This is now forcing the trade. The Archon dealing some nice damage but will get taken down. The Immortal very, very low. Both players taking substantial losses there. And well, in we go. Couple more pickoffs, and the Immortal goes down as well. The Zealot to the front, tanking up some damage. The Stalker count is still 5 to 4, but in GunGfu's favor. The Natural getting very, very low. Probably gonna be forced to cancel if this trade does actually come through. The Stalkers just poking and prodding away at anything they can find, wanting to fend this off. Without the ability to Photon Overcharge, due to the Nexus not being done, it's gonna be just so hard to hold this. More Stalkers coming in on both sides. Blink is not done on either side. The overall Stalker count is 7 to 8, still in GunGfu's favor, but Zealot is there as well. This should force back Patience. He does take out another Stalker, now takes himself 7 to 6. It's so back and forth this game. But this is critical. GunGfu was able to hold his natural base. He gets it down. That opens up the ability to Photon Overcharge it. He's already had to blow some energy on a Photon Overcharge in his main, but the natural base now can be overcharged, can be a strong defensive footing as well. Meanwhile, Patience, his natural isn't yet done. He's down in workers, and so really needs to try and find some way to make this work for him to get a bit of an advantage, because he doesn't have too much really to work off of here. Takes down 2 Stalkers, going to grab a 3rd one. That's a really nice pickup for him. We'll have to back away from the Photon Overcharge. Overall, the Stalker count now 8 to 3, but there is an Immortal out for GunGfu, plus that Photon Overcharge, although that was the last one available for now. The Mothership core depleted the majority of its energy, down to just 43 remaining, so that will slowly build up, but quite a way off. Overall, these gateways getting chrono boosted. Patience really wanting to push home this advantage. He knows that this Nexus came down sooner, but knows it's also pretty heavily damaged, and once that Photon Overcharge is gone, there isn't another one waiting for it. But there are these 2 Immortals, and Immortals are so good against Stalkers. One can get focused down very quickly and very efficiently, but the second one causes a lot more pain. Patience, with the Observer though, does know that they're there, is completely prepared to deal with it, and also sees that some of these Stalkers pulling out in case there's an Oracle. This could open up a nice little footing if there's a quick move in. Force Fields coming down on both sides, zone out the Immortals. Is it just going to be the Nexus focus? Well, it's taking a lot of damage, being targeted down as we speak. The Nexus getting very, very low. The Immortal now trying to get picked off. More Force Fields coming through. The Nexus survives, though. It should get sniped down. Does get sniped down. But at what cost? Down goes a lot of units for Patience. His army supply, though, only leveled out to that of his opponent. Plus, he's got his natural base. It's up, it's standing, it is getting income for him. And there isn't one for GunGfu. GunGfu going to have to spend the majority of his minerals now, securing that base back up. His main base getting quite low. This is a very, very tense game. And can you believe it? We're nearly at the 15-minute mark. It's been going on for a while. This one base, 1.5 base kind of play. And it is just back and forth. Patience really the aggressor, though, keeping on the pressure. Great force fields. Stop quite a few of these units coming through. Trap a lot of GunGfu's units out of position. Specifically, keeps the Immortals out of the play. And that is good news. Patience, though, can't push forward any further. Has to be careful. Takes out a couple of Zealots. Loses a few Stalkers of his own. This is not a comfortable spot for either player. Patience is just like... Patience is the guy there who's like, I've got a clean shot. I've got a clean shot. I'm going to take it. And then suddenly, Civilian runs through his crosshairs and you're like, I can't do it. And GunGfu's sitting there like, I know I'm right on the brink of death. I'm just clinging on. He's held on the edge of a cliff, like with one hand, and it's just gripping, hoping. And he has to, because he's down a map and it's a best of 3. So if Patience wins this, he advances on into the semi-final. If GunGfu wins this, we get the ace game. And the way these two have been playing, the epicness of this series so far, I am really rooting for GunGfu because I want to see that third game. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to see it. I want to cast it because this is an awesome PvP. It is just ace. Now, as we come up now, a couple more Stalkers. We'll find the donation of a lone Zealot. I'm not sure what he did to annoy his friends, but he got sacrificed to the cause. GunGfu, of course, got a Colossus. So, hey, Colossi, they're good units. If you ask many players, they are the best units ever. And they work well. So, in PvP, the Colossus count late game is critically important. What is Patience going to do in response to that? Well, he's going for the Templar Archives. Going to be looking to get some Archons out. He's got Charge as well. Maybe hoping to just utilize things like these Immortal drops just to pressure, poke, prod, annoy. And behind it, just say, okay, well, I'll tech up. I'll go for a big Zealot Archon plane. I know I've got a better economy. So I can just outproduce you and just come and kill you before these Colossi really become a problem. In terms of the Colossus, I'm not actually sure if it has been seen yet. I know that the Robotics Bay hasn't, but this Hallucinated Phoenix will discover. He goes, hey, yep, that is 2 Colossi you've got there. I'm pleased about that. But how do you respond? Patience adds in his own Robotics Bay, and it's because there's 2. There's already 2 here. He needs to be going up into Colossus tech because long term, it isn't a viable thing you can stop. It's going to be sitting there. It's going to be annoying. And just, you're not going to be able to trade that with kind of any composition that doesn't incorporate Colossi unless you have Tempest. And that's something that also Patience doesn't have. So, Patience, his main goal, probably at the moment, if he doesn't try and end it, but I think to end it, he'll have to hope for a misstep by GunGfu, is to prevent a third. Because Patience has his own third base coming up. The drop play is also really solid. It's really keeping GunGfu back, trying to split up his army a little bit, buy a bit of an opportunity. A couple of hallucinated Colossi coming through, and it looks like Patience wants to go for this. This trade position is probably as good as GunGfu could hope for. The 2 Colossi at the back, but the Immortal drop, that is such a cool play. Takes down one of the Colossi. The second Colossus is also going to get taken down, and this double Immortal drop won the engagement for Patience. Flat out, taking out those Colossi means that they cannot do anything. And this was a beautiful play coming down from the Alien Invasion player. He crushes through the majority of this force. A big Zealot warping, but the natural base is dead. Sure, a single lone Zealot is trying to pick off his constructing third, and he may not be able to end this game yet. But GunGfu knows that long term, without a natural, he has no income and he doesn't really have an answer to it. Congratulations to Patience there. He wins this series 2-0 into epic PvPs and advances forward into the semi-finals.